Hey guys, I am getting ready to go to church for youth group where I'm a youth group leader on Wednesday nights, and I thought I would just take you with me as I get ready and chat a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and use a combination of my Jaclyn Hill Morphe Vault. This is the Dark Magic palette and the Armed and Gorgeous palette. That was from my friend Leanne Sorreo that she got me for Christmas. So I'm just going to do kind of a little combination with those and just chit chat with you a little bit. I don't have anything super exciting to talk about or dramatic or anything like that, so I'm glad to be able to report that actually after all of the stuff that has been going on in my life. But yeah, things are going really, really well. I love my job. So for those of you who know, I started a job in January after not working outside of the home for several years, besides doing like some babysitting in other people's homes and stuff. But yeah, it's interesting working with the public, really. Many of you know, and I work retail, so I deal directly with people. And you know, it's interesting because I felt so bad. My son's girlfriend, she had worked at a hardware store for a little bit, and she ended up having to quit because the men and stuff who would come in were so inappropriate to her. She's a beautiful girl, and she was just very uncomfortable all the time. And I'm like, you know, that's ridiculous. And here's the weird part. It's usually not like young guys. It's not like, you know, guys her age. She's 20. You know, it wasn't like, I mean, she wasn't when she worked there. She was 19 or 18, but you know, it's like, it wasn't so much people her age, it's older men. Well, now that I am working with the public like that, I am experiencing the same thing sometimes, and actually way more often than it should happen. Sometimes it's customers, but we also have like vendors who come in, and there's one in particular who makes me extremely uncomfortable, and you know, just like watches me, and so I try to avoid being anywhere in the area where he's at. And customers who have said really weird things to me, like the one night, like I tell people about this survey that's on their receipt when they're leaving and say my name, because they can go online and do the survey, and if they mention my name, my manager does a really awesome like thing every month where you can win gift cards as employees if your name is mentioned positively in these things, you know, so really fun. Well, this particular man decided, as I was telling the guy in front of him, you know, my name, and I say my name's Danielle, you know, if you could let them know how I did today or this evening or whatever time I'm working. And he's like, okay. And I've seen him, he's come in several times. He's the guy probably around my age, probably a little bit younger actually. And so I'm like, whatever. Well, the guy right behind him goes, oh, I thought she was giving you her number for a minute there. And we were kind of like, no. And he goes, like this guy who comes in a lot, clearly works like a construction type job or something outside, because he's always wearing like, you know, Carhartts and like camo kind of hat and stuff. Like he works an outside job. It's obvious, like boots and stuff that he wears. And so this guy behind him's like, I thought, oh, I'm gonna start wearing camo when I come in here, like I'm somehow turned on by camo. And I'm like, oh, well, actually I'm married, so. And this guy goes, well, so am I, but so what, or something. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Well, the guy that he, you know, that I had just rung up kind of looked at me uncomfortably and left. So I'm just trying to ignore like this guy. Okay, first of all, let me say I'm a very friendly person, but there are some people that I have learned I have to just be very like short and to the point with, because when people are like that to you, like you can't be too friendly to them, because clearly they're like looking for you to be something more, you know, more interested in them than you are, and you don't want to give them any indication that that's even remotely a possibility. And so whatever, from that point I was just very like doing my job kind of thing. And so this particular man then proceeds to ask me if we have mouse traps where I'm working. And so I go to take him back. Well, I'm trying to explain to him where it's at, and I'm like, actually, just follow me. I'll show you where it is. Well, I'm not thinking about it because I'm just, whatever, doing my job. And he, as we're walking back toward the register, says, your husband's a really lucky man. I'm just making an observation. Seriously, dude? Like, you're saying that as you're walking behind me? Like, creepy. So I just went, kind of like didn't even respond to him really. And went back to the counter, rang him up, just trying to get him out of there as fast as I could, right? So really uncomfortable. And by the way, I'm never there by myself. Thankfully, I wouldn't work if I was ever, because there are just some creepy people and I don't trust people. However, I think you have to be careful because you don't want to be overly rude either. Like if somebody is like that to you and inappropriate, because like the one girl I was working with was like, tell him don't talk to me like that. And I said, yes, like I get what you're saying, but at the same time, some people are really creepy. And if you react that way, that will tick them off and it could become a very dangerous or uncomfortable situation, And so I'm like, my thing is just those kind of people. I just do my job. I don't act rude. I don't act friendly. I just do my job kind of thing. And so that was kind of what happened. Well, the next day, the younger guy, so this man was like in his I would say he's like in his 50s, okay? And so the next day, the guy who was wearing the camo and stuff that comes in all the time came in again, and he clearly stops like on his way to work and grabs like snack things and stuff like that. So if I'm, whatever. So, and always really friendly, whatever. So he comes in, I'm like, okay, it was you, right? When that guy said that, he's like, yeah. And he goes, I wanted to say like, oh, I'm married too. So, and I'm like, yeah, that was really uncomfortable. I go, and then he said some really like inappropriate things after that, whatever. And he's like, what makes people think that they can do that? And I'm like, I don't know, And it was like very, like, we had this little conversation, and then I was having to get something for him, and I'm really short, and I'm like, if I can reach it, and he's like, oh yeah, my wife's really short. So then he's like talking about his wife and stuff, and like, whatever, like really friendly, and, but it's like, I just don't know what makes people think that you want them to say things like that to you. Like, I'm not in any way attracted to you, and why you would think that saying something like that to me would be something I would like, I don't really get. So, yeah, I find it though to be very uncomfortable. There have been several instances, and particularly this one vendor who, like I said, I just try to avoid where he's at when he's there because, there's not really much else I can do, but he tries to be like flirty and friendly with me, and I'm totally just like, I shut it down big time every time. Like he tries to be like joking, whatever, and I'm like, yeah, kind of thing. Not like overly rude, because like I said, some people are scary, and if you react that way, it could be really bad. But just very like matter of fact, to the point, whatever. Like, don't give them any idea that there might be any chance there. So it's just very weird. Like, I hit this one old man, so this is hilarious. He has to be in his 70s, and he was like, oh my gosh, it was so funny. So my one manager, she was over like in an aisle close to where the checkout is, and was doing stuff, and so she could hear. And this man's like, I asked him for his ID because he was getting tobacco, and he's like, oh, now you're gonna know how old I was, or how old I am. I was gonna ask you out on a date and whatever. And so I kind of laughed, and I said, well, I'm married, so, and he goes, I don't see a ring on your finger, like all serious. And I was like, it's right here. And I showed him. He goes, oh yeah, it is. And he's like, okay. And so then he's just like sort of talking about other stuff, whatever, as I'm ringing him up. And when he gets done, he goes, well, you're missing out I would have been a real good date or something like that. And I'm like, oh, whatever. So I'm like, oh, he's joking, like being goofy. So he leaves, and my manager comes over and she's like, oh my gosh, that was so funny. And I'm like, I know. And I'm like, I couldn't tell for a minute there if he was serious or not. And she goes, I know, I was kind of thinking the same thing. Well, a couple days later, he came in again, and I was back doing some stock stuff, and he happened to come down an aisle where I was at. And he goes, this is some good music. And I was like, oh yeah. And he goes, you want to dance or something? And I said, oh no, not much of a dancer. I better get my work done or something. And he's like, oh yeah, kind of thing. Well, then I'm like, is he serious? Like, thinks he's gonna, I don't know. It's so funny, but he like seems very harmless, but still I like wouldn't be overly friendly. I just kind of, yeah, kind of thing. But it's hard because people are, I don't know, like people who are lonely, he's an older man. He might just be lonely and is being friendly and thinks he's being fun, you know what I mean? Or goofy, like no big deal. And like he hasn't been like inappropriate and like make me uncomfortable kind of thing. But then there's the people who it's like, you are seriously crossing a line, and there's no way they can't know it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. So that has been an interesting experience for me, because like I said, have not worked, and I haven't worked like with the public like that in a very long time. So I kind of like haven't been exposed to that kind of stuff in a very long time. And yeah, it's very uncomfortable. But so I'm like, okay, I'm, an older adult, woman, whatever. And I know how uncomfortable it makes me. So I can only imagine how uncomfortable it made my son's girlfriend when people were like that to her. That just ticks me off. And honestly, the people who do it are usually men in like their 50s, I think. 50s, maybe early 60s. I don't know what it is about it, but they are the ones who, for whatever reason, feel like they can just say stuff like this. I don't get it. But yeah, I am not a fan. It makes me very uncomfortable, and I don't indulge in that, like, indulge them in that at all. Like, I don't know. I'm just in awe. I'm totally in awe. And like my husband, we've talked about it, and I've even like, I wear an Apple Watch, so I can like text, him, whatever. And there have been times where I'm like, that vendor's here, like fortunately with him, like when he's there, he's with other like vendors, and so it's not like he can like stick around and whatever, like they've got a job to do when they leave. But I do feel more comfortable that I can like contact my husband pretty discreetly and be like, I'm uncomfortable, and he's close enough by where he could come up to work if I'm that uncomfortable. And even like at night when we close, the one night we're like, there's a car out in the parking lot late, and so the girl and I who were working were like, So I was like, well, I can always call my husband, he can come up here, for us to go out, whatever. And the car ended up leaving. I don't know what they were doing, but being aware of like your surroundings like that and stuff is very important. And I think a lot of times I watch people who are like on their phones while they're walking through a parking lot and stuff. Duh, like that is so dumb. Don't do that. Like, you're making yourself so vulnerable because you're not aware of your surroundings, and like it makes it very easy for people to prey on you, and so that is something my dad majorly taught me when I was young, my sisters and I, like, about being aware of your surroundings. So I'm very aware of that, and just aware of like people around me, what they're doing, stuff like that. So sometimes I wish I could be a little more oblivious to it, but I think it's good to know and be paying attention. But so yeah, that has been an interesting aspect of the job that I was really not expecting, but hey, what do you do? Otherwise though, I love my job. Love it. I think it's awesome. I totally love my managers. Like, everyone that I work with is great. Like, we talk and have fun, but we like get our work done, and just, it's really cool. I'm really enjoying it. It's been a very positive experience for me. I never am like, oh, I have to go to work today. I love that I'm like making this money that's helping to pay for things that we need, and yeah, it's just been very, very good so far. So I'm super happy about that. I don't know that I love what I just put on my eyes, but and then other than that, we're finally getting into a little slower season as far as like our kids' sports and things like that. Their seasons are done, so we just have like banquet type things, which next week that should be done. And then we also have my son Riley, my middle son, who's the drummer. He just had district festival for band, and they got a 1, which is the best you can get, and so they're going to states, and so we'll be doing that. I'm not exactly sure when that is yet, but that'll be something coming up. And then band always has a spring jazz festival, not jazz festival, jazz concert, which I love. It's like our favorite concert of the year. So and he's still not sure if he's doing band next year or not. We're trying to figure that out. I will be very sad if he doesn't, but it's just going to depend on what he decides to do for it'll be his senior year, what he decides to do for like school type stuff, because he goes to a tech program right now for IT, or not technology, in case you don't know. And so he's kind of trying to decide what route he's taking with that. So that will kind of help determine whether he does band or not, because it's just the way the schedules work out. So but yeah, so we're kind of waiting to see on that. And but otherwise things are slowing down, and which also means that I'm back at church on Wednesday nights, which I love, because during their basketball and bowling seasons, it's impossible for me to get there because they both have stuff on Wednesday nights. So my husband has to go in one direction, I have to go in the other. And then when it was all his back stuff going on too, that made it extra hard. So but now my husband's back surgery, by the way, for those of you who haven't heard, it went amazing. He like feels like a new person. So so incredibly thankful. And so things have been fantastic with that. He's getting stronger every day. Like, he's having to work on getting strength back in like his left leg and stuff, because the nerve pain and all the stuff that it was in, he wasn't using it properly, I guess, and so it like made his leg really weak. So some things like that, but nothing major. That will be stuff that he can easily overcome. So very happy about all that. So life is definitely getting on a more normal, less stressful kind of track for a while, and the reality is things don't stay that way. And I kind of felt like they had been that way for quite a while, so I knew there were some things I knew were coming anyway. As far as my grandma passing away and stuff, I knew, I was realistic about that time was coming. It wouldn't be too long. So some of those things you kind of knew were looming, but then of course other things come from what feels like out of nowhere and smack you, and that is just life. And that's why you need to be thankful in the good times, because they don't, it's cyclic. It goes up and down. That's how life is. And so you need to be very thankful and just, have that gratitude in the good times. And, when the bad times come, you have to remember all the good times, and that helps get you through, and, just keep looking ahead. So, yeah, life is pretty darn good right now, and I'm thankful for that. And I'm gonna go ahead and just finish my, eyeliner and mascara and all that stuff. And when I come back, you will see my hair done. And yeah, so thanks for chit-chatting with me. Let me know if you work in retail or whatever else, if you have experiences like that with people who are just inappropriate, and like how you handle it, because it is super uncomfortable. I hate it. That is like the one thing that I can't stand about like working out in the public like that. Like I can handle rude better than that because whatever, rude people. But people are just like inappropriate like that and make you uncomfortable. Ugh, I don't know. It just creeps me out. I don't understand why people are like that. Like, why don't you realize that when you say things like that to somebody, it makes them like, ugh, like want to get further away from you and not be like, oh yeah, really? Like, seriously, dude? Like, you really think? Ew, I don't know, just whatever. But so let me know if you've had any of those experiences, and I will be right back to show you the finished look. Okay, and here is the finished look. I just went ahead and put the NYX Liquid Suede in, it's a cream lipstick, in the shade Sandstorm, I believe it is. Yes, Sandstorm on my lips. And then over top of it, I put the Dose of Colors Desi and Katie Over the Top lip gloss. And so this is the look I came up with because I knew I was wearing this green sweater, and so I felt like having eyes that kind of matched. So this is the look. So as you saw, because I was chanting when I did it, it wasn't anything super fancy for the eye look, but I really like how it turned out, and I'm feeling good about it. So thank you guys so much for watching and listening to me chat, and I look forward to hearing your comments down in the comment section. I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye.